Hello everyone, this is CJNovo92 and today we are back with another brand new video. Today's video, I was hoping it was going to be an exciting deadline day extravaganza. Unfortunately, we've only got two things to discuss. One going out, one coming in. Thanks, Rangers. I mean, honestly, could you not have just started the RVP talk up for 2 years ago? Give me Santa clickbait? Really? This is what you're doing to me on deadline day? All joking aside, before we go any further into today's video, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet to join the channel and be one with the nation, please consider doing so and help us get towards that dream of 55,000 subscribers. But without any further ado, let's dive into the deadline day extravaganza. That doesn't work. Damn it! 3, 2, 1. Story number 1 then, it's going to be about the last American stand-in. Now, as it stands right now when I'm making this video, this will be the 4th video that Matt Polster has actually been in. So I'm not going to bore you guys by breaking down the stats because I've already done that in 2 separate videos. So what I'm going to try and do, in case you have missed those videos, is try and fill in the gaps and give you a wee bit more information on the latest and probably last Rangers signing of the transfer window. His name is obviously Matt Polster. He is an Americano, where he came from Chicago Fire, where he played over 90 games in the MLS. Now, the man can play in 2 separate positions as well, right back and centre mid. Now, he started off with a right back, but during his later part of his career in the MLS, he was sort of shifted more to the midfield, and that's where he started getting a lot more success. So it's a bit of a clever transfer. You know, Gers has already worked wonders with that man up there, Mr. Andy Halliday, who can cover the centre mid and the left back spot. So he's kind of got someone on the other side now. If anything, God forbid, happens to Tavernier, he's got someone who can fill in a right back, and obviously someone, if needed, to fill in the centre mid spot. Now, this deal actually was announced yesterday on the Rangers official Twitter account, which was obviously great. I fired out a couple of tweets. So many people welcomed Matt, who is obviously active on Twitter, to the club. He's come out and said a lot of new things. He's looking forward to get involved in the locker rooms, which, come on, it's dressing room, son, didn't he start me? But the man was obviously delighted and he can't wait to pull on the famous Glasgow Rangers shirt. And there's a bit of a cool little mixture because he actually fired out a tweet a couple of years ago when Gerrard went and played in the MLS, talking about meeting his hero and being able to play against his hero. Now, a couple of years later, he's signed for the same club, which I clearly rate because it's a nice little story, but also the fact that Gerrard has known about him for a very long time and knows exactly what he can and cannot do. So it's a very clever transfer. That's not surprised that he was the last one standing. Obviously, there was 2 Americans brought in, just in case you don't know, Andrew Gutman and Matt Polster. Gutman got cut after a couple of weeks for not being up to Gerrard's standards, but Matt's been there, he's been out to Tenerife, he's back at Rangers, and now he's signed on the dotted line. So welcome to the newest Bear. And as we've already done the poll, welcome him to the club, getting the fans' opinion on Matt Polster, that is actually going to be the end of story number 1. All that is left is to ask you, the viewers watching this video, what is your thoughts now that Matt has officially signed on the dotted line, and where do you think he'll actually play? Do you think it's going to be right back? That's where you'll see him. Flanagan certainly didn't cover himself in glory against Cowden Beef. Is that now going to be up for grabs, that number 2 spot at right back? Or do you think it's just more cover for the centre midfield, especially if we're trying this new formation, which is going to go through a lot of centre mids to see what the perfect fit is? And before we jump to story number 2, I personally heard from a very reliable source that his mother used to sing Ranger songs down the phone to him. So good little bit there. It was always destined to be. Story number 2 time. Story number 2 then, it's going to be about a Bear that has recently left the club on a 6-month loan deal. We could all see this one coming. You can tell by the title. It is none other than Jordan Rossiter. Steven Gerrard has came out in the last 2 weeks saying a loan move would be better for Jordan because he doesn't want to be selfish around Jordan Rossiter. He would love to keep him here because he rates him so highly, but he needs games under his belt. He's not injured. In fact, Gerrard has came out and says he's not been injured for 3 or 4 months now. He's just never been able to force his way into the starting 11 because of form of others. You look at our team right now, we've got Scotty Arfield, who since he's came back he's just been a different breed. You've got Ryan Jack, who arguably is our midfield player of the season so far, and you've got Ross McCrory, who burst his way into the team, just an absolute animal. And that is only 3. You've got Stephen Davis on top of that. Then you've also got Andy Halliday, who has been putting in a shift wherever he plays. The midfield spot is completely packed, and Jordan Rossiter has just been kinda in the sidelines waiting for his opportunity, which just sadly hasn't came. Now, before we go any further, Jordan Rossiter has signed for Bury to the end of the season, which is obviously a similar move to what Jamie Barr-Jonas got earlier on in the season. That never quite worked out, but Gerrard has a very good relationship with the Bury manager, so it's going to be exciting to see what Jordan Rossiter can do down in the lower leagues of English football, getting back amongst the games and hopefully being able to turn in and week out performances without, touch wood, any injuries. And I hate to bring up the injuries, but I feel like I would just be doing a disservice to every single person watching this video if I didn't mention it, because that has been the thing that's been holding him back throughout his entire career, because it certainly isn't a lack of talent. You look at any coach that has worked with Jordan Rossiter, he says he is the next big thing. I mean, in Liverpool Football Club, he was the next Steven Gerrard. Gerrard identified him as being the next guy. Unfortunately, once again, because of injuries, Liverpool eventually cut ties, and he came up to Rangers and it looked like the first couple of games that he really had something, then he just sort of failed away, injuries after injuries after injuries. But you put that to one side because he has been fit now for 3 or 4 months, and you look at what coaches say about the laddie, right? For Liverpool's coaching system, they absolutely love him. He's tipped for the stars. Rangers, the exact same. International level, he was the under-21 English captain. So pretty much when you look at it, wherever he's been, people have tipped him for the absolute top. It's just been those injuries that we've already mentioned that's been holding him back. But let's slap that to one side, because apparently, according to Steven Gerrard, that he hasn't been injured for 3 or 4 months, he's working extremely well. What is Bury going to get with a fully fit Jordan Rossiter? I personally think an incredibly talented midfield player that will take that league by storm. A lot like Greg Docherty is doing for Shrewsbury, I believe Jordan Rossiter has that ability to do that for Bury. And I think that's a perfect transition to where I actually want to go here. I look at the Greg Docherty loan as something that wasn't, his career's done, right? He's not over at Rangers, he's going there to get better, to identify and work on something that Gerrard has said, and he's going to come back and play an important part in the Rangers' future. I'm looking at Jordan Rossiter, this 6-month loan. I know a lot of people's writing him off, and I'm going to ask you what your opinions are in just a couple of minutes. But for me personally, I'm looking at it as a development loan, not one of these ones where we just get rid of him just to get some playing time. And yes, I mean like a Jason Holt or even a big sexy too sweet Herrera style loan where you know they don't have a Rangers future. It's just loaned out to hopefully get him a move, kind of like Jack Anick and that as well for Scunthorpe. But I think if you look at Greg Docherty, that is a development style loan, and I genuinely believe that's the exact same way as it's going to go for Jordan Rossiter. I believe he's going to have a Rangers future, but do you? Let me know in the comment section below that, one, what your feelings are about Jordan Rossiter getting a loan. Do you think it's a good move? But two, do you ever think Jordan Rossiter will play for the Rangers again? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. That is what I asked the people on Twitter, and let's see what the people have had to say. 404 votes, thank you so much for getting involved. 38% of the people votes for no, they don't think that Jordan Rossiter has a future at the Glasgow Rangers, but 62% of the people votes for yes, they actually believe. So let's see what they've had to say. Donnie Robertson says, as much as I like the guy and want him to do well, the club needs to move on. 15 games in 3 years does not constitute someone we should be looking to keep. Plenty of other options in midfield as it is. I wish him well though. Again, mate, that is completely fine. Robbie says he's got everything that's needed to be a first teamer, just very unlucky with injuries. If he plays regularly and well for Bury, I'm sure he'll be in and around the first team next season. Deacon Hill says, think it's the right choice for the guy. He is clearly talented. He just needs games to prove he's over his injury hell and come back in the summer and play a big part for the club next season. Snagsy says, always maintained he should be retained. Cracking kid with amazing mental strength and positivity. His football talents are unquestionable. Long may he reign over us. Rampant Ryan Jack said, I hope he does. He has all the potential and all the ability, but his injuries have completely ruined his Rangers career. The loan is the best move, and we will determine whether or not he comes back based on the performances. Glasgow Blue says, fingers crossed he stays fit and gets games under his belt. Personally, I would let him leave on a free. Casey Todd Gray said he's a great talent as we've seen in the games last season versus Hibs. If we can keep him fit, he could be a key player. Liam chips in with, if he can keep fit, then I think he has a future, but Ross McCrory might keep him out of the team. Yeah, they play a very similar role, and I just think Ross is obviously a lot taller, a lot more physical, and can really impose himself. He seems to be a kind of an Iron Man, the way he just gets kicked lumps out. If you throw Jordan in there, I'm extremely worried if he survives any of the kicks. But anyway, the last one we will actually read out comes from Jamie Murdoch. He says, probably the best move for both parties. He won't play many games with us just now. Hopefully stays fit between now and the end of the season and does well for Bury and comes back in the summer. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. If you heard the people's opinion, you've heard mine. If you haven't done so already, you know what to do by now. But before we finish off today's video though, I have a fun little question I want to ask you guys right at the end of the video to see who actually watches to the end, but also see what your answers will actually be, because I'm really curious about it. What is the best January transfer Rangers has ever made? You can go back as far as you want, or you can be as recent as you want. What is the best January transfer the Glasgow Rangers has ever made? Off the top of my head, I'm probably going to get slaughtered because I've forgotten someone. But for me personally, the one that really moved me that I can remember like so vividly in my mind is when Barry Ferguson came back. He was my guy when we signed him back in January. I went absolutely mental to my dad. I just couldn't believe it. I was so happy. So that would be the best Rangers signing in January. I'm sure I'm going to get slaughtered in the comments. I can already feel it. I've overlooked someone. But just off the top of my head, that was my guy. Who is yours? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, before we finish up, shout out to the 50 strong on the Patreons. If you would like to join those absolute legends that's helping support the channel, the link for that will be down in the description below. I've been CJNova92. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.